apart. We know every part by heart. Overture, curtain lights. This is it. We'll hit the heights. And oh, what heights we'll hit. On with the show. This is it.
So, on with the show. This is it. Welcome to REALTOwn with John and Tracy. I'm John. She's Tracy. What are you? Are we interrupting your?
No,
your
because I'm
session?
trying to find the story that I wanted to talk about. I don't remember. I forgot.
I'm John. She's Tracy, and over here,
now I hear it
to
on the
my
right,
left,
not
your
the left.
right, is our man Frank Cicino. Hiya, Frank.
Hello.
Frank's a
Frankie
guy.
says relax.
Yeah, Frankie says relax.
Don't
do it.
do it.
Do
Do it.
See, he's the guy. That's where it came from all those years ago. Now you know. Kind of like who let the dogs out. We're taking calls. 609-807-2492. Who said relax first? Again, 609-807-2492. So Frank is an associate of mine through the years, believe it or not, through minor league and developmental semi-pro football. Plus, you've been involved with some pro sports here in the Central Jersey area.
Yeah, I've done some football and some hockey and
Hockey.
Yeah.
a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you know.
Right on. Yeah, the Trenton Steel, that was what, 2010, was it not?
Yeah, 10, it started 10, the first season was 2011, spring 2011.
Correct. Right on. Right. And good team, good arena-style indoor football team out of the then Sun Bank Arena here in Trenton. It lasted one season because the owner decided, nah, something else. I'm going to do something else.
Who's
No
your
comment.
favorite hockey team?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Who's your favorite NHL, obviously?
I'd have to go with the Devils.
Very good.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
All right.
That's
I'm
my
a
second favorite.
And a Mets
so.
fan, so, you know, we have
That's
that.
my second
Yeah.
favorite. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Okay.
I'm good.
She's a Boston
I'm from
chick,
Boston.
which is fine.
But it's okay.
I've been to Fenway. Does
well,
that count?
That counts. Well, I like the Devils, so I'm okay. I mean,
okay.
I'm a Bruins fan. I'm a Boston fan through and through. But because I've lived here for 3 years, I've had to kind of adopt.
Sure, that
you
happens.
know,
I mean,
but obviously I am a Devils fan. I actually, believe it or not, I like the Giants, which maybe you think I shouldn't, but I do. I like the Giants, and
right.
it's okay, I like the Mets. I will never, ever, ever like the Yankees. I mean, that's the Yankees are like.
And I'm a Met fan,
like,
and I understand
stab
that
me in
completely.
the heart.
Welcome
yeah.
home.
So I'll root
Yeah.
for the Mets all day. I'm okay with that. I actually have a Mets shirt. I'm okay with the Mets.
Yeah,
I like
you
that
do.
too. And then who are we missing? Oh, basketball. I don't pay attention to basketball.
Well,
Basketball's all messed up.
I don't
Basketball's-
like the Nets and I don't like the Knicks. So I'm like, where am I at? There's nothing.
There's no good basketball right now in New York, so
Not in this area.
we look elsewhere. We
go elsewhere. I look at maybe college basketball, but but mind you, I look at the Celtics because it's the Celtics. But I'm
Well.
saying for my secondary,
Ooh,
I don't have a
Celtics.
secondary.
Well,
Okay.
it's one of those things. I mean, they're attempting yet another local arena type ball over in Trenton here. Pardon me. The New Jersey Flight.
Flight already done, I think, right?
Pardon me. I think they did do their first season. Yeah.
One and done.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
That's
over?
it.
Yeah. they're
Wow.
done. That's from what I hear. They're done.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
it's not easy. It is not easy.
No. It's listen. It's a tough area. Most of the people in that area are commuters.
Right.
So you don't have you have everybody coming in that works for the government and the state, and then they're out at the end of the day.
Right.
So to get that crowd to stay, that's a tough job.
It's difficult.
Tough job.
It's tough to get them to stay, in the pros. I mean, I was watching the Phillies game and I looked. There was nobody in the stands. There's nobody there.
Well, it was all.
Where are they?
It was filled. They were all.
It wasn't filled. What
They
do you
were all
mean?
disguised as empty seats. You got to
Oh.
watch.
'Cause I didn't. I was like,
Either way, it's better than Baltimore.
yeah.
They're averaging 7,000 a game. I mean, that's hard.
Now, why do you think that is?
Horrible team.
Well, that's one.
Yeah,
I
but the
mean,
diehard.
Camden Yards
you
isn't
know.
in a great area.
Well,
You know,
it's down in Inner Harbor area. No.
it's not. It's
Couple-
close.
few
it's
blocks
close,
away.
But once you get outside the Inner Harbor, it's not a great area.
No, it's not.
So
No, it's
to
not.
go
Right.
from the stadium to Inner Harbor, you're
Yeah, but I mean,
armored car and
Yeah.
off you go.
bulletproof glass.
I mean,
I've been there. I
Well, the
know.
Prudential isn't in the best area. I
Yeah,
mean, let's throw
exactly.
that out there. I mean,
Exactly.
I think when they built that, they thought it would clean it up, and that didn't happen.
No,
That's not
no,
what.
no, no. I mean, the beauty part of it is you can just go up on New Jersey Transit
Right.
and walk across and
right.
bingo.
All the way
Right,
through.
and even
from
if you
the-
take the train, I mean, it's really quick
Yeah.
walk from the train, because that's
Yeah.
usually what I do. But
True enough. True enough.
that's where Whitney Houston was born and raised, is Newark.
In the Prudential Center?
No,
Oh.
in Newark.
What? Oh.
In Newark. The reason it popped in my head because I watched the Bobby Brown story last week.
Again with the Bobby Brown.
I know
Bobby!
what you talked about, but it's just
couldn't
funny.
do
It's
it.
just funny. It makes me think about it because Whitney. Everybody thought Whitney was like such an angel and everything, and then they're like, she grew up in Newark. That's it.
Right.
That's all you gotta say.
Do the math.
She grew up in Newark.
Exactly.
But anyway, sorry, I digress. Back to sports.
No. We're just we're
Sportsies.
doing what we do, and this is how I know Frank through the years. I've known Frank since about 2005 or 6.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
early
And you
five.
still like
Yeah.
each other?
Yeah, we're
All
pals.
right,
Well, that's
good.
because we spend a lot of time apart.
Right.
Yeah, there you
know.
go.
And you have
that's
the few and far in betweens.
I mean,
Everything's
it's been
fine.
a good half a decade since we've sat
Right.
down to visit.
Exactly.
But yeah, involved, and I got to think it's just, from a been there and done that perspective, it's good to be involved with something like the Trenton Steel Football Club, the Trenton Titans Hockey Club, and other things. I mean, you're right. It's a difficult area. You would think from the outside in that it wouldn't be because you're right between New York and Philly. So, it makes sense. I mean, this way, people can afford a game that's not so expensive. But you're in between New York and Philly, and like you say, Trenton is a heavy government job town.
Yeah.
And
And the surrounding areas
Is not good there again.
even if you could get the Hamiltons and the Windsors and all that to come, they're going into Trenton,
Yeah.
and they don't want to. So
No.
you're fighting an uphill battle no matter what.
Well, there's a lot to be done in the greater Trenton metroplex before stuff like that can fly. And I think, not for anything, I think the thought there with this latest endeavor, the Trenton Flight, because I was involved a little bit tangentially. There's your big word for the day, Gene. I was involved tangentially a few years ago with the Trenton Freedom. They lasted 2
Two.
seasons.
They made it through two.
They
Yes.
made it through 2, and that's literally because they had some pockets to
Right.
reach into.
Yep.
That's really the only reason why, which is a shame. They had it going the first part of the first season, and then same old Trenton, same old.
Yeah,
Trenton.
I think not just the location, but the ownerships, and not saying anything bad about the ownerships, but when you're trying to put a team into a league in a city like Trenton, and you're doing it because, hey, I want to own a team.
Right.
I want to have that on my resume.
That's not the right reason to do it.
It's tough when you say, okay, I'm only going to spend so much money and I'm going to put certain people into certain positions and say, well, I know you've never done it before, but give it your best try.
Yeah, go
You,
nuts.
you can't start a team that way.
No.
You got to have the right people, the right financials, and right area.
Sure.
And Trenton makes that hard in every area.
Well, you figure the first team was the Lightning, the football team.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That lasted about a half to 2/3 of a season. And then all those years later, 10 years later, it was the Steel. And then a few years later was the Freedom, and now the Flight. And, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to the history of that building, it was built in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And the original thing it was built for was the Trenton Titans, the original Trenton Titans.
Yeah, the hockey club.
And
yeah.
they ended up winning a championship, and they
Sure.
had the right management, the right leadership, the right ownership. Everything was put in place, and it came through with the building. So you have this big building being built and all this generated information out there,
Mm-hmm.
and you funnel the team right in with the building. So you had years to prepare before the team even hit the ice.
Right.
So they had everything right. They did everything right. They had the right management, the right team, the right coaches, the right players. It's hard to duplicate that, especially when you're getting to a building now that's 20-something years old.
Right.
And it's probably at the point where it needs to be refurbished or upgraded to meet the other standards of, a Prudential Center or something to that.
It's got to have more sizzle about it,
Sure.
basically. I mean, and I don't know. I don't. Sadly, I don't get too many whether it's hockey or baseball or football or basketball games. I think the last time I was to a game was about a year and a half ago. I got tickets two Christmases ago for my son and I to go into the Madison Square Garden to see the Sixers and the Knicks play, and it was because it's the Garden. I mean, my God, I mean,
Right.
what could be better, And they had just refurbished Madison Square Garden at that point.
You know what happens? You get spoiled because when I worked at Entercom, WEEI, which was the Red Sox radio station,
Right.
was in the same cluster. So we used to get season tickets, so we could go all the time. I mean, I went to baseball games all the time at Fenway for free.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I had a friend who, he does very well for himself, and he gave me and my friend courtside to the Celtics.
Oh my! Ooh.
Done that. Been in. Oh, please, you don't even
How
know.
could you go wrong?
Been in like suites for hockey. So what happens is when I lived the high life and I was like courtside and suite, and then now I'm just kind of like a nobody, and now I got to pay for tickets,
Right.
and then I'm like up in the rafters. I don't what the hell is this? It's same with concerts, same thing, because I always used to be front row for free, backstage, and all that stuff, and then
Exactly.
in my old life, and now that I'm nobody again, I'm like, hey, I got to pay like $200 to go to a concert, and then I'm like in the like 15th row. Like, this isn't cool. Like, I'm like, you become really spoiled.
Oh yeah.
You do.
Oh,
For
yeah.
sure.
Courtside is like I'm telling you, that's the best thing I've ever experienced at a basketball
I
game.
can't even
I don't
imagine.
even want to go now. I don't. And I've been to basketball games and sat in regular seats. I'm like, oh, this is nice. Once you do courtside, you're like,
Forget
screw
it.
it. I don't want to. I don't even want to go. I'll just look at
I
it and watch
agree.
on TV.
My days in Northeast Pennsylvania, I worked at a cluster of stations. Before it was with Entercom. It was with the then Citadel, now
Citadel.
Cumulus block of stations, and we shared
I
a
think
suite
Cumulus
with
is gone,
the NBC affiliate up there. So
Yeah,
when the
NBC.
Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, the Baby Pens they used to call
Sure.
them, they still call them.
Yep.
We'd have every other game, and we would have a thing to where, hey, listen, get involved with this advertising package, Mr. Advertiser, and we'll have you host, you'll be our very special guest in the suite at the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins game, and on such and such a date. And then we would sit down with, the Damiano Auto Group and say, okay, here's what it's all about, and here are the available dates. Which one works best for you? Give me 2 or 3 choices in case, because I got 10 other people out in the streets doing the same thing. And then we would have them in. They were our very special guest in the suite with all the food, all the drink, all the ta-da.
Booze.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Such as it is for market number, 75 or 77, but so what? Boston, New York, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. I mean, it was like a big deal. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I got to pay for my tickets now?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the big thing with selling of in that nature is people like to be special.
Of
They like
course.
to think that they're better than other people, and this is how they get it,
Right.
and that's how you sell it.
Well, a lot of your car dealer folks are really, really like that. I mean, not a shot. It just is a fact. There are a lot of A-type personalities who run and who are the principals at auto dealers. And these guys up there in, oh boy, where were they? Just east of Scranton, not quite to Carbondale, on the old Route 6. The Damiano Auto Group. Tony Damiano. Tony Damiano. And he was a lot like that. The old man was like, come in, have a sit down. Can I get you something?
You sound like the Godfather.
Well, because that's how he sounded.
Oh,
That's
all
how it's exactly how
I was like,
he
he sounds like Marlon Brando in The Godfather.
Another one of this for you, Michael.
I didn't think anybody ever sounded like that in real life.
This
don't
Tony
know.
Damiano, we kind of did. Johnny, what are you doing? What do you got for me?
Well,
Hurry up, let's go. I'm like, where you going, Tony? You gotta go take a pill? No, I got things to do. Come on, what do you got?
I worked at a restaurant in Boston back in the early '90s. It was a bar restaurant called Il Panino. It's no longer around, but there's a lot of mafiosos used to hang out in
Is that
there.
right?
And it was the whole Winter Hill gang, Whitey Bulger.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
they all used to hang out in that bar restaurant. I don't think I realized it's funny because there was a lot of people that came in there, and now in retrospect, at the time I was just like whatever, because
Right.
what do I know? I was like 23. I don't know what's going on, and
You see, I got a lot of clean silverware. Get it? Okay.
and I remember I remember Bob Kraft used to come in.
Was that right?
Yeah, Nancy Kerrigan had her bachelorette party there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really weird. But the one thing I remember is it was late at night, and we're cleaning up the bar, and a gentleman, he was one of the Salemi brothers, if you're familiar with the whole thing, the Boston mafioso scene. And the cops were coming to the bar, so my manager comes up. He goes, "You got to hide him. You got to hide him in the girls' bathroom." And I was like, "What? Hide him in the girls' bathroom? Got to put him in the girls' bathroom." And I remember we had to hide him in the girls' bathroom, and he was standing on one of the toilets, and we closed the door, and the cops came looking for him. And we were like, I don't know. So I hope I don't get arrested for that. That was a long time ago.
Statute of limitations.
Yeah, okay. But, they told me to do it. But, we had to hide him in the,
That's
the
Tracy
girls'
Paris,
bathroom.
care of Hamilton Radio.
Unless it's a murder case, there's no statute.
No,
of
there was no
limitations.
murder. Well, I'm sure they murdered people.
Just checking.
I don't know. But that was like my first, and I had studied The Godfather in college in film class. So, I really didn't have familiarity with it. Everything was just kind of like the movies. And then when I actually was kind of like involved, I was like, oh,
So basically,
this is
you were
crazy.
doing something that was a little sketchy that you probably didn't need to have, and whether you knew it or not, didn't need to have people knowing about, which leads me to that post I had on Facebook over the weekend.
Yes, that's why I wanted to talk about it.
So it was something to the effect of, okay, who has done something in their youth or in their younger days that basically you would never do now for fear of being called out on the carpet and then some.
You mean by your parents?
Parents, family, friends.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
I said murdered.
No, that's the murder. What are you talking about?
Well,
That's
no,
Tracy Paris, care of Hamilton Radio, Spiegel,
What
Chicago.
kind of childhood did you have?
Holy crap!
Listen.
Yeah. Where the hell were you working as a kid?
Well, I'll tell you something. That's the reason I said we should talk about it, is because I was like really ballsy when I was young. I mean, I did things I don't understand. Like today, if you said to a child, hop on a bus and go to New York City by yourself, visit the Bronx, and you're 16 years old, would you do that now?
No.
Yeah, I did
No.
that.
What?
I did that. I mean, we used to go to New York all the time.
From where?
From Montreal, we go to New York.
What?
Well, that's
Yeah.
different than going like from Monmouth County
Yeah,
to New
this-
York is a big difference than going from Montreal to New York.
No, we would hop a bus, and we would go to New York City, and we would go, walk around the city. And this is the funny thing, is that everybody thinks, and I checked this, I think you and I went over that, we're talking about the highest crime rate in New York City, which years, and everybody says the 70s, because that's kind of what you would think. But it actually was the early 90s. The highest
Yeah, it
crime
was
rate in New
bad.
York City
You're
was
right.
the early 90s.
Yeah.
So in that time,
Jeez.
that's when I hung around in New York City all the time, and I was going to clubs till 4 or 5 in the morning.
What was your age
I
back
mean,
then?
I was going to New York on and off from 16 till about 22, 23.
Wow.
But I mean, I'd be by myself at like,
Yeah,
I
that's a
mean,
big trip.
even so, like 21 years
wow.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I moved to Boston when I was 22, and I would still go to New York. I was going to New York regularly because I was
Again,
doing a
it's
show.
not like going from Bergen County
Right.
across to Manhattan,
You're not
or even from here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and I did a show in New York City, and so and that was kind of like my exposure to the nightlife, because I did a dance show called Club MTV, and when I was on that show, we used to go out a lot at night, and we used to be seedy and go to all these parties in people's basements all over the city in the middle of the night. I don't know. I used to go to nightclubs and come home like 5 in the morning and all kinds of stuff.
See, now that's
I'm kind
Craziness.
of a choir boy.
speaking of how we got on this topic. A city person growing up at that age, 16ish, in the city.
Yeah.
That's every day, not a big deal.
Right.
Right? Going to a club till 5 in the morning,
Yeah.
sneaking in,
Right.
drinking illegally, all
Right.
that stuff, right? When you're, let's say, from the Pine Barrens and you're 16 and you go to New York, it's a culture shock.
It's like,
So
this
there's
is what it looks like.
there's
Yeah.
a big
It's
difference
real.
just by where you live and how you grew up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and understanding street smart,
Yeah.
and not knowing anything at all except that there's big buildings that I'm staring at.
Yeah, I think the street smart kind of was knocked into me, because I honestly can't believe I wasn't like drugged, raped, or murdered. I honestly don't know how that, because because I was hanging out with seedy people in seedy places. And I'll tell you, this is a true story. My friends and I, and this is when I was 16 or 17. There's someone who's having a party in the Bronx, and again, it's in the 90s. And my friend was like, "Yeah, we're going to a party in the Bronx." Okay, I don't know. And then it was around that time when that movie came out, Bronx, New York. What was it with? Who was in it?
Fort Apache, the Bronx.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh.
That movie came out around that time, and I was like, oh,
Like, oh, that's what goes on when I'm not paying attention.
I'm alive.
Blissfully unaware
and-
is what they call it.
And it's so funny because now I think back to all the places I've been and all the things I did, and I remember there were drugs, but I don't remember thinking that they were drugs. Like, now that I think back, I'm like, oh yeah, that was drugs.
Yeah.
But I didn't really,
Yeah.
all I knew about was marijuana. I knew nothing else. I didn't know about, and back then cocaine was huge.
Of course.
And I remember we'd be in one room, and people, all of a sudden, someone would come in, and they'd be like, tap, tap, tap. Person would turn around, and then they'd leave. And I'd be like, oh. And then they'd come back together, and I'd be like, oh, where'd they go?
Right.
And then the next person come out, tap, 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 and the person would go and leave. And I had no freaking clue. I had no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I started speculating, like, what's going on? Are they making out? What's going on? Like, what's happening? I don't
Yeah.
understand what's going on. And then I kind of, as I grew older and started seeing it and was more exposed to what it looked like, I realized, oh, they were all bumping lines in the room.
Hello.
Sure.
But I didn't know. I really, ignorance is bliss. I really
Truth.
had no clue.
I mean, from probably my junior year of high school, so again, 16-ish, certainly all the way through college, and then for a few, a few years after. I got to say, I've never done coke. I've never shot up. I've never anything like that. But if you'd put an ice cold beer or 19 in front of me, down they'd go, man.
You were a drinker.
Okay. Or if there was a drink, a mixed drink that somehow, ooh, that looks good. The story I've told many times. It was right after I graduated college, so I was 21. I was legal, and place, pardon me, it's no longer in business up in Piscataway. It was called B.J. Berry's, and they would make these Long Island iced teas in the half a carafes, about yay so high.
B.J. Berry's.
Yeah, it was kind of like a casual dining, but like a franchise, but it wasn't a franchise. It was just a one-off place. The place is still there. It's a restaurant. I forget what it's called. Doesn't matter. So that was our place. My buddies, we all moved back home for that year after college, and we would gather on Thursdays in the summer of '86 because it was Long Island iced tea night. You get this half a giraffe, we called it, half a carafe, for $2. Not bad. And it was like that night when you rode the bike and damn near collapsed, or did collapse. It was like 1,000,000,000 degrees out. The air conditioning really wasn't working that well at the place because, again, it was 1,000,000,000 degrees out and like 2,000% humidity. And whoever was behind the bar making these things, it was like they took the Lipton iced tea mix, put it in there, and just stirred it. It was not, as Colonel Potter from MASH would say, not enough O's and smooth. Okay? And and boom, boom, boom. And there was a buddy of mine who showed up that night who I'd worked with the previous summer, between my junior, senior years of college, and we were all getting all gooned up. Yeah, 10 of these later, it was time to go home. And I have no idea how I got home. I mean, I know how.
Oh, I don't even want to.
I just
Listen,
I don't remember.
I
don't remember.
This is even worse.
That's bad.
I remember
Very
getting
bad.
drunk and getting behind the wheel and driving home
That's what I did.
and not remembering.
That's what I'm saying. I got my
You
ass
guys are
in my,
bad,
in my
bad
74.
kids.
It's a long
Bad
time
kids.
ago. Long time ago.
Yeah, my 74
Never would never
Duster.
do that now. Never.
Put it on
Never.
autopilot, man. I got myself home,
Listen.
and I was in bad shape.
Now I remember one of the things we had to talk about. Let me know when you're done with this because
Go ahead.
I got a subject.
Hit it.
You ready?
Go ahead.
All right. Who was reading the news, NewJersey.com, about the big bust that just happened yesterday? I hope you all were
Over in
reading
Howell,
it.
wasn't it?
No.
Oh boy.
The sex bust?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that on TV.
Yeah,
Actually.
yeah.
Did you see who
Yeah.
one of the people were?
No.
Yeah, one was a cop. Howell.
Sergeant
Yeah.
from Howell.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Now this list came out on NewJersey.com. There's about, I think, 26
Yeah.
subjects, people, men, who were soliciting. Well, what they do is it's like remember the old Dateline? They used to have, what's his name? The guy who would sit. They
John Quinones.
Yeah, no, it wasn't John Quinones. What was his name?
Well, the
And
guy
he-
that went, oh.
No, not him either. This one, it was like they did this segment for the longest time, and the guy would sit in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
then the guy would come in and he'd be like, Josie, where's Josie? Where's Josie? And he'd be like, hi. And then he'd say his name from Dateline, and then the
Right.
guy would be like, oh, and then he'd be like, why are you here? Did you know she was 13 years old? Oh, no, I'm her friend. We're just friends. I was just coming to help her study. Well, why do you have a six-pack and a bag of condoms with you? Oh, no. I was just, no. And they did that for years.
Yeah, they
it was
did.
hilarious.
Yeah, they did.
Because they look like a deer, and then they'd walk into the room, they'd be like,
Oh.
oh, snap, I'm screwed.
What's that guy? Damn it.
Yep. And so I guess they did. It was basically the same premise. The officers, went online and they were, pretending to be underage girls, and they were talking to random men.
Yep.
And then they would make the meeting, and if the men showed up, they were arrested, and that's what was going on. And they were saying they were like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
And one of them was a sergeant in Howell, and that's. And I think he was married with children. That's
That's,
and
I saw
And
also.
he said in the messages back and forth, he told the girl this isn't his first time
yeah.
with a young girl.
Yeah. And she kept saying it, because you have to say it so it's not entrapment. So she kept
Right.
saying her age. She would say,
Right.
I'm this age. You'd be
Right.
like, so I'm a cop. I don't do what I want.
That's right.
Oh, no,
And guess
you
what?
will not.
No, you can't. But if you look at so they don't mess around, man, because they had the list. They had everybody's full name,
Face
where
and
they were
picture.
from, picture, and
Yeah.
what they did for a living.
Yeah.
Bye.
Oh, yeah.
Bye. Peace.
Yeah.
Bye.
Exactly.
You, out of the gene pool.
Yeah. And this is the thing. This is the crazy thing, as and we, you and I have talked about it. I don't think I've ever talked about it on the show, but I worked with someone for a number of years who was arrested for impregnating a 13-year-old.
Right.
And it's a hell of a story, but it is a true story, and it's really mind-boggling because I worked with this man. I worked with him. He was 32. He was engaged. And he was like, just, he wasn't like, I'm a pedophile. I mean, he was just like a normal guy, He was just like, but he was like a fairly normal, he just was and he was a piano teacher. He was a piano teacher. And and the student he had impregnated was actually my student as well. So,
wow.
and it turned out, not only did he impregnate the one of the students, but he was showing his junk to a whole bunch of the other students.
Oh.
And everything came out, went to court, everything happened. It's done, but he's in prison for like 16 years. He got like 8 years for the girl he impregnated, and then he got an additional 8 years for showing his junk to a whole bunch of girls. And, that's it. You're done. Good. And he's somebody's bitch in there. You know that. I mean,
How does that come to? Here's my question.
Yeah.
How does that come to mind? Okay,
It doesn't. That doesn't come to mind.
No.
It's not a.
But it does to some people.
But-
How does that happen?
Because it's not about sex. It's really about like power and
Control.
wanting
Yeah, I
control.
guess.
That's what it's about. You know what I mean? I think men who have that kind of desire to be with a 12-year-old, like think about that for a second. Like just in even younger sometimes. That is someone who wants to dominate and be in control, and that's all it is. It has nothing to do with sex, and it's very
Well,
sad.
just,
It's very sad to me.
I even think back again. It's no secret that my mother and dad sent me off to it was a day school, but to the Wardlaw Hartridge School up in Edison. It was a private school, and after 7 years in public school, I had all my friends, all my pals, all the girlies, everybody who I knew, and then off I went. I hated it. I didn't like it at all. It took me over 2 years, 2.5 years to no longer be the new kid, and that stunk on ice. But there were other kids in the same boat, okay? And I didn't get it at the time. It's the same church, different pew, younger kid kind of a pew, so to speak. They'd go and they'd rip stuff apart. They'd like destroy the boys' room. or after seventh grade science, one or two of them would hang around the science lab room and start throwing acid around, even on themselves, to the point that it melted away the polyester sport jacket, and just acting up, acting out, because they wanted to control where they were.
Correct.
Okay, they wanted to get booted out.
Right.
I wanted to not be there, but that just never, ever occurred to me to do such stuff.
Yeah, but that's because that's not you. I mean,
Right.
it's just
It's
you can't.
hardwired. You're hardwired.
You're, right.
Everybody's hardwired. To
just don't
to
get
be
it.
with a 13-year-old, that's a hardwired thing.
Right, it is,
It's-
and that's just not
that's a
just that
horrible
behavior.
hardwired
Any
thing.
behavior where you
Busting up the bathroom was a bad
They might be
hardwired
missing
thing.
a gene, didn't connect
right,
correctly.
because
I don't
any
know.
behavior you got to think about that. Like that's why I'm fascinated. I watch the ID channel all the time. I'm fascinated, and not because I'm morbid, and not because I like to see death. So nobody send me something saying I like dead people. It's not like that.
609-807-29.
To my girlfriend who's watching, who watches the ID channel
Yeah.
all day, I should introduce you.
Yeah, she knows. So,
24.92.
and what it is the fascinating thing is that a person can get to a point where they can take a life, and sometimes viciously, and not have any feelings about it, not have any remorse, and not have any and I'm not talking about crimes of passion. I'm not talking about that kind of thing,
Like
because
that guy in
you know,
Iowa who just
people
killed
break.
the young female golfer.
golfer.
Again with
Yeah.
Iowa. What is going on in
Uh-huh.
Iowa? You got some knuckleheads out there.
Right, but it's just like you get to
He's
that
like, "Huh,
point.
whatever."
I just don't. I have such I wish I continued with psychology in college. Because I took a lot of abnormal psych in college. I
Right.
should have been a psychologist, because I am so
And how does-
intrigued
how
by
does
the
that
way
make you
people.
feel?
I'll tell you. But I am intrigued by people who cross that line.
Yeah.
And have no feelings about it, and I think it starts as a child. It
Oh.
starts as a kid. It's not something. This is something that starts, like you said.
Yeah.
You're hardwired
It's
that way.
hardwired, and if I would think that if you can catch it early, as a kid, and go, oh, he's got that, whatever it is, and then maybe correct it before it becomes what it is now.
Right.
I mean, like you're saying, people just literally shoot somebody, walk into the bathroom, wash their hands, and
And-
sit down and have dinner.
Sure.
Like I
Like
don't
it's
even
nothing.
know what just happened.
And there's and me, I feel bad, yelling at my dog. I mean, I can't even I don't even understand. I feel bad. I feel guilt about everything. So I'm like, okay.
Sadie, why did you do that?
No, I'm so sorry. But
I didn't mean to yell.
Speaking of hardwired, I'd seen a video recently about a girl who was adopted, and her family said she was extremely, extremely violent, and she started seeing a psychologist, and they taped all the sessions. And in the sessions, the little girl, she was maybe 8 or 9. All she talked about was stabbing and killing, and how she wanted to kill her parents. She wanted to kill. She was stabbing animals. She was and they said she, as a small child, she was, molested and abused. That's why she was removed from the
It's a
home.
trigger.
And that was so they had to change her behavior. They had to give her therapy and change her in a way where that thought process had to go. It had to leave. They had to
How
change
do you
the
do
hardwire.
that?
It was over. They actually followed her. She's an
Wow.
adult now. She's actually a nurse now, but they followed her through the years, and she's fine now. But she had intense therapy for many years.
Oh, boy.
But they had to change her
Sure.
her
I
thought
mean,
process.
If you think about it, that's the military. You go into basic
go.
training, the first thing they do is break you down,
Right.
and build you
You
up
back
the
up.
way they want you to be built, so they
Right.
can use you the way they need to use
Correct.
you. I
Correct.
mean, that's standard.
Right.
That's forever they've been doing that, right?
Right.
So now you just got to do it for the good.
Right.
You know?
And the same thing with manipulation. Like, when you meet people who are so manipulative and they're really good at it. I mean, I've met people, I just go, they can make people do whatever they want to do. I'm like, how the hell do you do that?
Manchurian
it's like
Candidate.
Dianetics, Ron L. Hubbard.
Yeah.
Fascinates me.
Right.
Fascinates me. I am so intrigued by that, because it's amazing to me that a man who was just a man, I know if you're a Christian, sorry, but he was just a guy.
Just a guy, just-
He wrote a book, and that was it.
They bought it.
And they bought it. And to this day, it is one of the most
People
powerful
believe
things.
it.
That, like, celebrities and you see Leah Remini did that show recently. That is
Oh yeah.
because she
Inside,
left.
Yeah.
the Scientology. Yeah, and she
Scientology,
left
yeah.
Scientology, and now she's exposing it and all the things that were going on and still going on.
You know, my
And
parents had that book. Now that you mention it,
Dianetics. My grandmother had that book.
Everybody had it.
Everybody had that
If
book.
you were a kid in the 70s, you've seen it somewhere.
Yeah.
My grandmother
It was
had that
for
book.
sure.
Whoa, just
Yeah.
holy mind
So
synapse back.
so
And
can
it was
you imagine?
on the desk downstairs where my father would do all of his work, and it was.
There it was.
And I'm like, what, 12 maybe? This would have been like mid 70s, 76, 77, and I'm like, oh yeah, because they used to have the L. Ron Hubbard Dianetics.
That's
Buy
right.
it now.
The volcano. The volcano.
Yeah,
Right,
on
right.
television.
Black cover with the red.
Yeah.
Yep, I remember.
That's it.
Sure.
Everybody
I wonder-
had it.
I wonder what
and,
that's all
and
about.
why? Like, I mean, like the best marketing ever. I mean, it's amazing to me to this day. And no matter what comes out about it, oh, they did this, they abused this, they left their families, they
Right.
did this, they did.
Listen.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
If I had Jim Jones as my ticket sales guy in Trenton, we might
still
still
be
be
in
playing.
business.
That's right.
There's another one.
Yeah.
And
You know, like,
there it is.
how
And
does that happen?
And that expression, drinking the Kool-Aid, which I
That's
used,
right.
and that actually
That's
got me
where it
fired
comes
from my
from.
job. That got me fired from my job, by the way. I just
bunch
wanted to
of
throw that out there
crap.
by saying drinking the Kool-Aid. But it is a Jim Jones reference.
That's
and,
right.
And,
Oh, yeah.
and that's where it comes from. And it actually wasn't Kool-Aid they were
There's
drinking.
actually
but
a
it's-
special on next week about it.
I actually watched another special documentary about it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the amazing thing, again, one man, and he convinced, it was 900 people, like 998 or something.
I mean, they moved out of the country.
They moved out of the
People's-
country,
People's
and
cult of
killed
Guyana.
their children.
Yeah.
Killed their children. I mean, like, what? He drink it, and you can hear. Did you hear the tapes?
Yeah.
So they recorded it
Sure.
while it was going on. I mean,
What? A senator flew down there,
Yeah.
undercover cameras, and
Where the hell have I been?
Yeah.
Go
and they
ahead.
tried to get these people to come, and they were like, "No, we're good.
no, we're good. But
We're
then,
fine. We
then
love
that
it here."
couple, there was a couple who decided, you know what, I am going to go with the senator.
Yeah.
So like two of them said, I'm going to go. So they tried to leave.
They
Jim
stopped
Jones's
them.
people chased after them, shot them all.
Yep.
No.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna tell you. You gotta watch
It's South
this.
America. They couldn't do anything about
No,
it.
shot them all.
Oh.
You know.
And then they proceeded. So what happened was after that was the trigger, because Jim Jones was in a place where he thought he was in solitude. No one knew about him. And when they started suspecting, the outside world started suspecting, hey, something's going on here. Something's not right. He's like, okay, everybody, they're gonna expose us. Let's all kill each other. Everybody, we're gonna kill each other. We're gonna just die. Okay. You gotta kill all your kids. All right, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how messed up it is. Not only did all the people drink the Kool-Aid, drink that drink with the cyanide in it. Everybody was drinking it. So there were a couple people who were on different parts of the island. So there was another part of the island where there was a woman, and she was there with her kids. And she got on the walkie-talkie, and they said, yeah, we're dying now. This is it. She said, okay. She took her kids into the bathroom and stabbed them, and then stabbed herself.
What?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Oh, I'm going to tell you when that's on. Wait till you watch it. It'll blow your mind. Blow your mind. But going back to what we were just talking about, it's one guy. One guy had the ability to convince almost 1,000 people, not two people, almost 1,000 people to leave their lives, move somewhere else, leave everything, leave their jobs.
Disregard their family.
Go on this island, follow this guy, and then kill themselves.
What?
Yeah.
It's it's
Well,
amazing.
and then you know what? In the mid '90s,
The Nike.
you had David Koresh.
Koresh
Oh,
in
David Koresh,
Waco.
of course, that's another
Yeah,
one.
The Nike.
Nike was what's his name?
down in California where
Yep.
the spaceship, the asteroid was coming.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they were
yeah.
away
And I can't remember the guy's name for some
Yeah.
reason. Because they've been showing a lot of these.
Yeah.
We talked about it on
Yeah.
air a while ago because the new one, the Nexium, which is the brand new one that just got exposed like 6 months ago. And they one of the girl used to be on the show Smallville. She was arrested, and they were like forcing
yes.
women to have
I
sex
saw
and
that.
then
Oh, that's right.
branding them with the guy's initials on their pelvic area.
Again, who thinks of this?
And
And then thinks it's okay.
It's
no.
insanity. But they've been showing it a lot lately. They've been showing these shows about the cults and the cults. David Koresh was one of them, and it's amazing because even with David Koresh, the survivors, and there were very few of them from that fire.
Most of them are the kids.
Yeah, most of them are kids, but there was one mother. She lost everybody: her husband, her kid. She's by herself, and the interviewer said to her, "Do you still think David Koresh was, the second coming?" She said, "Oh yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They still believe it.
still believe it."
Wow.
Yeah.
It's insanity.
No.
And it's on TV. You can watch it and see. Oh, well, that's. But like, where does the common sense, that line where sense and non-common sense, like, what's going on there? Like,
That's the question.
I don't think I could ever be manipulated that way.
No.
I believe
I
that.
agree.
I think I'm strong
No.
enough. I don't think because I think everybody's full of shit anyway. I mean, I really do.
I agree. I need to see something before
I think everybody's.
Walk on water, make me some wine, and I'll start
And even then,
believing
I'll be
it,
skeptical. Even then, I'd be
All right,
skeptical.
Lazarus come out. Oh, he was dead. Now he's not. All right. Hey,
Right.
No.
hey, geez, you got something for me over here, pal?
But I can't imagine.
agree.
To me, it's weak-minded, and even like the celebrities, like I said, that are involved, Tom Cruise and Jen Elfman, all those that are involved in Scientology.
No.
I mean, can't you step back and look and go, wait a second, this really doesn't make much sense.
Right.
Doesn't make much sense. What's going on here?
What do you think? 609 807 20. Oh, I just lost the number. 2492.
Wow.
609 807
You will forget the number.
No, is it Jeff Gordon, Michael Strahan, 2492. Okay, that's where you remember that. Yeah, 609 807 2492.
What about
Yeah.
what's going on in the Carolinas?
They got problems down
With
there.
Florence
man.
Henderson, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Florence, no.
I know it's Florence.
It's
Wow.
slow. The progressive girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get see, okay, so there I am early last week, because of course, at the House of Hits, they're over there. Oh, they're gonna have bad weather, so you want to call all your people in the Carolinas, and I'm like, yeah, they're not taking calls.
Right. Exactly.
they're battening down the hatches.
They're busy.
And if they're any smart about them, they're getting out of the town they're in. I called a guy down in Spartanburg, South Carolina, which is about 4 hours supposedly inland from the coast. If you look at Carolina, it's in and up to the west a little bit. And I got a hold of him. I said, "Hey, listen, Kenny, whatever the hell his name is." I said, "Listen, John from Global, and listen, I don't know how this is going to affect you." But should you find yourself in a predicament after this, get a hold of me because I have all sorts of stuff for cleanup, for repair, for replacement. He goes, "You don't know South Carolina real well, do you?" I'm like, "Well, being stuck up here about 10 miles east of Trenton, I only know what I know." But I said, "I will say this about that, Kenny, or again, whatever his name, Alan, it was his name, Alan. I do know hurricanes and tropical storms." And the one thing about them is they're very unpredictable, even as it's happening. So again, I wish you all the best. I hope you don't need a thing from me where this is concerned. But if you do, click. So sure enough, here's the problem. This is like when I was a little kid. All my relatives in northeast PA with Hurricane Agnes. It's not the hurricane coming in. It is to a certain degree.
It didn't even rain here.
Of course.
But it's like like with Agnes. It came up the coast, in a little bit, and then just stayed.
That's it.
Over northeast Pennsylvania for like 3-4 days because there was a front coming in from above that wouldn't let the thing keep going. Same thing happened down in the Carolinas. It got into wherever it got into.
It sat on the coast for a day before it
It
hit
kind of
landfall.
just kind of stayed on top of them.
Hung around.
And it was like a level
It
1 or
hung
level
around.
2. It was nothing, but it just
This
circled
wasn't even
over
a
them.
hurricane anymore. In '72, it was done being a hurricane, and it
once-
sat there and just for 3-4 days, and it destroyed everything.
If you look at it, Florence was a 1.
Yeah,
As soon as it made landfall, tropical storm.
Yeah.
And it just sat there.
that's
Yeah.
the same thing.
But again, just like Sandy, the storm surges
Right.
is some of the biggest problems
That's
because
exactly right.
the water is being pushed from the ocean
Correct.
inland,
Yeah.
Right.
and because it's sitting there, it
Yeah.
can't escape.
Yep.
So whether it's high tide or low tide, it's
Doesn't
still
matter
high
because
tide.
it's
Yeah.
blowing
You know,
in. Now, on the
exactly.
southern portion of all this business, it was the exact opposite because as it's blowing like so counterclockwise down south, it's blowing everything out. So
Right.
down, we have Bill Ockford, a friend of ours.
Oh, yeah, he has a house
He's
out
got
there.
a home down
Yeah.
Myrtle Beach area. He's like, we dodged a bullet because everything was coming around
Right.
this way.
When it comes down to the bottom, there's
right,
nothing.
and it blew out. It
Right.
it
It
blew.
regroups over the water and
Right.
comes back over the top
He says, we
again.
got some minor cosmetic damage. I'm going to go down in a week or two and blah, blah, blah. No big deal. He says, other than that, if we were 100 and 200 miles north, we would have been in the crap. Big time and deep. So, when they say get out, get out.
I'm waving to my
There's
friend.
a
My
reason.
friend Samantha's watching from Massachusetts.
What's up?
Hi,
Say
Samantha.
hi to Samantha.
Sammy.
She's the bomb. Love her.
Well, good.
She's a good girl.
Good.
You got to close one eye
Good
when
mommy.
you do that, John.
Sorry, Beck.
There you go.
And I mean that.
There you go.
I mean that.
I've been kicking with these cats since the 60s, babe. Ouch. Ow. Coco, come here, babe.
Yeah. So then the thing that's driving me crazy about this is you see what I keep posting because I'm an animal psycho.
I was just going to say,
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah.
animals.
I'm an animal
Yeah.
psycho.
They
No,
just
like I
leave
mean,
them.
like this is
That's
this is
horrible.
no. They're leaving them tied up on the porch, and the kennel
In
one
that coop in the cage.
in the kennel
Hey,
there.
I saw
Yeah.
the guy let the dogs
Yeah.
out.
Lovely
And
guy.
it-
He's part of REALTOwn now. He's a resident.
I was gonna say who let the dogs out, but we'll just
Now we know.
Nice.
That
But-
answers that
so,
question.
Yeah, so like they're up
Boom.
on their hind legs. They're up on their hind legs, holding
Hey,
on,
holding
and
on.
the water's. I mean, like,
Yeah.
who the what? Listen.
Who the-
Listen.
what the-
Listen, this is
what
my
the-
thing. Children, seniors, and animals.
100%.
You
I
heard
agree.
any of those three things? Children, seniors, and if I see you hit a senior, hit a child, or hit an animal, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. I'm gonna
Can we
cut
say
you.
that here?
No, I'm gonna cut you.
Online,
I'm gonna
yeah.
cut your throat. Like seriously, that's when the ID comes out. The ID channel comes out right there because
Oh.
that irks me.
I agree. 100%.
And unfortunately, with Facebook and viral, anything going viral, but you see constantly these abuses of animals, children, and seniors, and
No
I
good.
just it's especially in other countries, and I can't.
Again,
I
how is this
freaking
something that somebody thinks
can't.
of that, you know what, this would be a good,
I
fun,
can't.
positive experience idea?
I
Maybe
don't
they're not fully
understand it.
developed in the brain.
You think?
No, it's so helpless.
Do
Like,
that.
how can you hurt something that's helpless? Like this. That's why
Right.
I'm not a big thing on hunting, especially like trophy hunting. I'm not talking about hunting for food. I'm talking
Right.
about the
Trophy,
trophy
I
hunting.
agree.
Right.
You know what? You go and start. You fight. You beat someone up. You take a gun and you
Ma-
shoot a giraffe.
Right.
And then hold it up.
Make the fight fair.
Here's
Like, yeah,
the
Go in there with
here's
your
the
bare hands, and if you win, good for
Yeah.
you.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Here's the safari I want to do.
What's
okay,
your
and
safari?
I've said this for years. If I were ever to go to Africa or to wherever,
You
on a
set
saf-
the rains down in Africa.
Toto, is that you?
I would want to take like the camera with the big giant telephoto lens, do a photo safari. I want to see all the
Sure.
animals. I want to see all that
See them
area.
in their
I want to see all that.
habitat.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I don't want to shoot them. I mean, I just
What the hell
don't.
is-
I mean, that's
what's
not
the
me being.
point?
I just don't want to.
I just I
Now, if
don't.
it's them
live
or
in
me, it's going to
Alaska,
be them.
How is
or
that
you
fun?
live somewhere else where you live off the land
Different.
and you
That's
Different.
different.
eat the
In
animal
Alaska,
and you use the
that's-
carcass and that's fine.
That's
Nothing wrong
different.
with that.
That's but
when
you're
you have a pet that you bought for your child,
Mm-hmm.
and after 2 years you're tired of it, and you just say, "Well, I'm just gonna take it out back," and that's a problem.
that is a freaking problem.
That's a problem.
That's a huge problem. Let me tell you something. My dog, if there was a flood, I would take my dog and strap her to my back
Yeah.
in the water and risk my own life for my dog.
100%. I agree.
I would do that. I don't understand how anybody wouldn't do that. I look at my dog's face and I'm like, that's the love of my
I
life.
remember your dog Nico. You guys were
Yeah.
like peas and carrots, man. You're
Every day.
inseparable.
I took him everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. You take him to the football games. You take him to the meetings.
I'll tell you a story about that. I drove to Florida in a Mustang stick, and I was moving to Florida at the time. He sat in the front seat. I put a seatbelt on him all the time when he's in the front seat.
That's the ticket.
Lays down, puts his head on my lap and sleeps because it's a long ride.
Yeah.
He needs to, take his nap. I didn't have second or fourth gear because he was in the way. So I'm all the way to Florida, first, third, and fifth, until he got up. So
You didn't want to disturb him. God forbid.
I
No.
couldn't disturb.
Don't want to disturb him. He's
How do you
sleeping. I
disturb
mean,
Bad
him?
you
enough
know,
he's cramped in the front seat
Yeah,
of a Mustang. You know,
know.
it's a 130-pound
Leave him be.
Rottweiler.
leave
He was
him.
a good friend, that
leave
guy.
him
He was.
be.
I loved him.
Yeah. See, I mean, they're just so loyal and just, my dog is just, my Sadie, my girl. I mean, my Sadie. Let me tell you something. She tore an ACL and a meniscus in her leg. Cost me. I don't want to talk much. Now I have insurance. Let's put it that way. But it cost me. Thank God, I had enough money at that time. But it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
And then I met a friend who said that her boyfriend's dog had the same thing, and he can't afford it, so he's just limping around. I go,
What?
Listen,
Listen.
you just limping around.
What?
Whether you
way.
can afford it or not, there's programs out there
Sure
to
there
help
is.
with your pet.
Yes, there
There's
is.
people that just donate money to veterinary clinics.
You can do
for
a
people who can't
GoFundMe.
afford to keep
Yeah.
their pet.
You can do a GoFundMe and get
For
friggin'
sure.
money, especially when it comes to animals. I
For
see
sure.
people raising money for like, the Kelly at Global. She had a friend who found a dog in the woods,
Oh.
was shot,
Ah,
took the dog to the vet, didn't know who the dog belonged to, and raised money on GoFundMe's to get this dog surgery to remove the bullet from its head.
Really?
Didn't even know who the dog was, but they went apeshit on the GoFundMe. They were giving all kinds of money. I gave money.
well, hello.
But that's what I'm saying. Once you pull on the heartstrings, you can make money. So
Of
that's
course.
know.
Of course.
But that's exactly what it is. I mean, you can't take it. You're not going to take them to North Star because you're going to pay an arm and a leg. Though my dog is like fantastic now.
You're all fixed.
But I would never leave her that way. I couldn't do that to her. I just I don't know how people beat them and eat them and all this other crap that I'm reading. Oh, it's
Mistreat them?
Crazy.
Mm.
People nuts. I like having a third person.
Oh, I can come every day.
He's like the mailman. He comes every day.
I had
Shows up.
I had
just like it 'cause I take your
such
side,
I had
you know.
such a nasty joke, and I just
Wow.
I just keep it to
Wow.
myself.
So there it
I'm
is.
just let it be. I'm just let it be. I'm gonna let it simmer. I'm gonna let it simmer. That one. Just let it go right there.
Oh well.
Open the door. I might walk through. I'm
okay.
just saying.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I like that. I like that. I like this. It's nice. It's nice to have another third
guess
party
a
here. It's
perspective,
nice.
yeah.
Another perspective. I like that.
I do.
Because you and I banter,
We do.
but then you get
You gotta have a third party to keep
Yeah.
you guys separated.
Yeah, I know.
People settle.
I know. Well, so this is the thing that's so wonderful about our relationship, other than being friends, is that he's far right, I'm far left,
And I'm not at all.
and you're not at all.
Perfect.
Isn't that perfect? Isn't that perfection?
Yo, Uncle Frankie is back. He's gonna meet you, yo.
That's perfection. I mean, you know what I mean? That's the thing. But we don't debate,
You don't snipe.
and we
about
don't.
it.
can't.
No, it's
You
not.
can't.
It's not for
Just
us.
is
We
You
what
don't
have
do
your
it.
opinion, and it is what it is.
I don't care. And I hate
You
people
respect
that
the person
try
who
to.
you are, and that's it.
That's what it's about. You treat people well. I'm okay with that. You treat people like shit. That's a problem.
That's right.
But who you believe in, that's
doesn't
I don't
matter
care.
what you
It's-
believe or what I
right.
believe. Your beliefs don't affect how I relate to you.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
it.
Right. But
that simple.
unfortunately,
Or how I
People
run
not
my
all
life.
that.
not all people think that way.
Let's go right back to all the other things we just
Not
talked about.
people
People
don't
have
thi-
problems with.
Don't
It's
think
all
that
in the
way.
same boat.
It is just. I just feel like it's just. I try not to. I do my best to avoid conflict on Facebook. I don't post anything political, and I swear to God, nothing. I just keep my mouth shut. But one time, I posted
Oh, boy.
a Saturday Night Live sketch. I told you this.
Yeah.
I posted Alec Baldwin doing Trump just because I thought it was funny, not because I was making a political
It was
statement.
funny.
Right.
I thought it was funny.
Exactly.
I was like, this is, and this was in the beginning. I don't
Yeah.
even remember if he was president. No, I think he just became president. So I was like, oh my God, this is such a good impression. This is great. I'm going to post it. And I'll never forget this guy that I wasn't really good friends with anyway. So see you later, bitch. But
Love it.
he posted something like, this is disrespectful. It's not even funny. This is your president. You have no respect. I said, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? I just was like, I just think it's
It's a funny bit.
It's funny
It's a
whether
funny
you
sketch.
like Trump or not like
It
Trump.
was-
It's
the
a
bit
funny
is
bit.
funny.
It's funny. It was funny to me. I don't know. And then he was so offended by it. And then I was like, of course, I was like, listen, take your vagina and get off my Facebook page because I'm
The
done
JJ
with
boy.
you. I'm done with you. Like, block me because I'm done.
Done.
But something as simple as that caused, and I said, I don't want that. I don't want it.
Right.
I don't want it in my life. And whenever I see something I disagree with, I just pass over it. And
Well, it's like all those years that Letterman used to do, and now great moments in presidential history. And it would be, ask not what you can do for your country. And then it would be, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And then he'd show George W. Bush going, all right, can I get a little, what were we talking about? Okay.
I'll give you.
And it was funny.
I'll give you a perfect example of what you're talking about. I was recently just at Disney, and I went to the House of Presidents.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Well, they've added Trump in there. They've added everybody up to
Sure.
Trump, and Trump just got added. They don't say his name.
No.
What?
They don't say his name.
What
at
do you
all.
mean? Like, do they have it recorded?
So you
Tell
know
me.
how it's they're like dolls, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
talking, right?
Yeah.
And they each do. Lincoln does something, and Washington does something, and Obama does something, and then Trump talks. But every time the light lights up over that doll, they say the Washington or Lincoln. Trump, it just lit up on Trump, and Trump said what he said, but never said President Trump
Shut
or
up.
anything like that. And I thought to myself, this is Disney, and they can't even say his name. I'm like, that's disrespectful.
Wow.
That's
Like,
crazy.
whether
The
you
show
like
wasn't
Trump or
broken? Was it
not.
broken?
No.
Whether you like Trump or not, you know. Well,
I'm gonna
Wow.
like
wait. I'm gonna
whoever.
be the positive one here. Maybe it's broken.
Yeah,
No,
no.
Maybe.
'cause he gave a speech in there. They never introduced him. They never said anything. They just said whatever number president he is.
Shut up.
Swear.
Oh my God, I gotta Google that.
Yeah.
We gotta get that and
Yeah.
post it on our page.
That's gonna
if
be
I
great,
could have
believe
got my
me. Best
phone out
ever.
in time, knowing
I'm
he
sure
was
that
coming
someone
up,
has
because
it.
it was at the beginning when they said each president's
Yeah.
name.
I'm
By
sure
the
someone
time
has
they
it.
didn't say it, it was already too late for me to record it.
No, somebody has it. I'm gonna find
I'm
it. I'm gonna
sure.
put it on
I
our
would-
page.
I would look it up.
I gotta put it on our page.
Wow.
That
I
is
was blown
crazy.
away.
The
that
Hall
they
of
didn't even
Presidents,
say his
President
name.
Trump.
That's crazy.
Wow.
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
what can you do? I can't. You know,
I was
I
just
just
like,
keep my mouth
I
shut.
get it. That's
don't
your
know.
political view, and that's fine. But
That's fine.
at
Whatever.
least say his name so people know who he is, because maybe somebody doesn't
Well,
know.
there's kids.
There's
Maybe
people
they
from
wanna
other
know.
countries that go to
Hello.
Disney. That's one
Not
of the
that- well,
biggest
I'm pretty-
foreign visits in the
Tourist
country.
place, yeah.
So there's people going, "Who's the blonde guy?" talking?" You know,
He's very orange.
why didn't they say his name?
Who
and
is
he does
that
look
guy?
orange, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
In there,
In
he's
there,
very
he looks
orange. Yeah.
in the wax museum, he looks orange too.
Yeah.
They make him
Well,
orange. Like
well,
I mean,
I
they
mean,
make
he's
him like
orange. I
pumpkin
mean-
orange.
And he got Sergey
He is-
from over
he is
in
what he
Russia.
is,
Maybe
right?
fill in the cheese puff juice. I don't know. Maybe in dust of the Cheetos.
That's
Yeah.
the cheat. Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Maybe he
That's
just
the
does
Cheetos.
the gym tan
Tan
laundry.
laundry.
Oh yeah, GTL. GTL.
Yeah.
Guido Guido.
That's right.
Hey, I am
I love
from
Jersey
New York.
Shore, I don't care.
GTL. It's beautiful.
I
Tell it
love
to
Jersey Shore.
GTL.
I have no. Let me tell you something. I don't care. I'm a reality show. You know,
Oh,
some of them I
junkie.
don't like. Some of them I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't get into the teen moms crap. I don't get into that stuff. But let me tell you something. There are two shows that I watch religiously, and I'm sorry. Judge me if you will. Jersey Shore. I don't care. Love that they came back. Love. Like I'm obsessed.
Agreed.
And 90 Day Fiance, the best reality show on television. I'm sorry, 90 Day Fiance is gold. Top. It's the number one show. It's the number one show for TLC. Number one.
To me, I may as well have another town hall with
fantastic.
Larry Flemstein. He was in again.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no.
I'm just thinking about it. I can't wait to go home and like watch reruns.
Would
I
you like a
love it.
towel? You okay?
Oh, and tomorrow's yes, tomorrow is Jersey Shore.
That's right.
GTL.
Jeez.
Guido. I love
Oh,
it. I don't
man.
know. Let me tell you something. Life is so freaking serious. Everybody's pissed off about something. Everybody got something to say about somebody. Everybody wants to beat somebody up and kill somebody and all this crap. Happiness, fun, light, no thought, just
Upbeat,
happiness.
positive, can
and
do, be of good
What's
cheer.
wrong with that?
Nothing.
Nothing's wrong with that.
But it's almost impossible.
That's why I watch those shows because it makes. I have that moment, that
I-
1 hour of just.
I
bullshit.
grew up on the Jersey Shore. I went to Lavalette for my
Yep.
summer
Mm-hmm.
vacations, right north of Seaside, and my big attraction to the Jersey Shore when it first came out and why I stuck with it is because it's 100% changed from when I was a kid to what Seaside is now.
Mm-hmm.
As far as everybody there, 80% of them are from out of state or Staten Island or somewhere.
Right.
When we were kids, it was a lot of Jersey.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Now it's more everybody else, but because of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to, be around that. So when people call me from out of state that I know,
Yeah.
and they go, oh, tell me about how the Jersey Shore. And I said, well, it's not what you see on TV from when I grew up. That's how it is now.
Right.
You know, and it just sucks me in because I just go, wow. Like,
Right.
It blows me away to see how life has changed from when I was their age
Right.
and what I was doing than to see what they're doing and how they act and how they communicate. And, you know,
It's just funny. I mean,
get down there in the
they're calmer now because
Right,
they're
because
all
they're a little
parents
older.
and they're
Well,
older.
they're down there in
but
the
they
late
still
80s
have
and
their
early
edges.
They
90s.
still have their edges.
Oh,
Oh,
they
they
do.
do. They do. They do. JWoww, man.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
She,
She's had some work
I'll
done.
give you my opinion on JWoww. No issues as far as how she handles, but when you got to have some leeway. She just has a line, and you cross the line. That's it.
That's it.
Done.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's have a conversation and put you back on the other side of the line where you belong. There's no conversation with
No.
her. You cross the line. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. You're lucky I didn't take you out back
No,
and
that's
end
it. I love her.
You know?
I love her. She could be my bestie. I love that she's like that, though.
Hey, quickly, we got about 5 before we got to wrap up. Week 3 starts tomorrow night. Frank over here is a big gangrene fan. What do you
He has
think? Are they
gangrene?
Yeah.
I
You
had
get your
gangrene.
toes
I got rid of
chopped
it.
up?
Yeah, I cut it
Yeah,
off.
which is nice. You know, Jets.
I know. I was just
Yeah.
messing around.
She
I know,
understands.
I was just messing. That's the color.
So what do you think? Could they win over in the land of Cleves?
You know, I think, I watched Hard Knocks this year.
Right.
Cleveland.
I love Hard Knocks.
yeah.
That's a
another
great
one.
show.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a
So
great show.
I got to see a little bit of Cleveland and understand their inner windings. I think the Jets are on the road to becoming a better team than they've been in the last 20 years.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that. Too.
I think Cleveland should be 2-0. Give them
The
a
Browns
kicker.
are looking
they're
good.
2-0.
Right.
The Browns are looking
Right.
good.
Right.
I think they have a solid defense, a decent offense that's going to be much better when they get their rookie quarterback in there, which
I
should
agree.
happen pretty soon.
Yeah.
So
Baker
I'm nervous.
Mayfield.
I'm nervous about tomorrow because usually I would go, we're going to beat Cleveland. At least I know we're going to
Yeah,
do that.
Cleveland's.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cleveland's-
And now I'm
yeah.
going,
Yeah, because
Do I
do I
Cleveland
take
sucked.
the Jets or Cleveland this week
sucked.
in my pool?
All of a sudden,
know?
they came out of nowhere and started getting their shit together. I don't know what happened.
And
I
then
was like,
my same old Giants. Yeah, here we go
Should
down
have
the
took a quarterback with your first pick.
Oh, please. You know, I didn't mind that first pick, but now it's like, man, oh man.
well, the Patriots
So
didn't
now-
play well either. Patriots didn't play well.
Yeah, but they're not 0-2.
I mean, they're the Patriots, but I
Mm.
mean, they,
It's
they'll-
just same
they'll get
old
it together.
Giants. I mean, the
Good
defense
news
is
for the
good.
Giants, if they just keep losing, they can get a good quarterback next year.
Exactly. Oh man.
As long as the
And you don't have to
Eagles,
give any draft picks
as
up
long
for
as
it.
the Eagles
True.
don't win, I'm happy. I don't care who wins.
That's
Anybody
Tracy
but the
Paris,
Eagles.
Care of HamiltonRadio.net. 13
Anybody
Allentown,
but
Robbinsville
the
Road.
Eagles. Anybody. And I mean, I'll see the Giants. I don't care. Not the Eagles.
Well, it all starts tomorrow night when the Jets visit Cleveland, and then again on the weekend, college football. I myself am going to go down to Cape May this weekend.
Oh, how
Oh,
special.
Look at you.
Yeah, buddy,
so
Jamie and I are
special.
going to get on down there and we're enjoying local beach summer because all
Because
the
it starts after Labor Day.
correct. Perhaps
No. You don't have none of that there.
not Cape May.
Maybe some Sinatra.
the cigar lounge.
That's right.
But yeah, so
The
after
summer
work on,
wind.
exactly. So
Oh,
after
Big Ed's here.
after work on Friday, off we go. Big plans for the weekend, Trace?
No.
Okay then. You and Sadie, the dog lady. And
Nothing.
Frank, how about it?
I have some friends flying in from Florida tomorrow.
Right
I'm
on.
picking them up in the morning at Philly Airport, and they're staying till Sunday. They're going to spend some time in New York, and I think we're going to go to San Gennaro, get some good food.
Nice.
Yeah. Gotta
Nice
eat.
That's
kid.
you gotta eat.
Gotta eat.
Gotta, that's the place to do it. The feast of Saint.
That's right.
I was also having one down in Belmar too. So if you can't make it into the city, why go to Belmar? Perhaps. Oh, geez, there's the animals. Yes, and we have.
Don't drop them; they might get hurt.
There it is. We've got the animals and the new box. I wasn't
Free
gonna.
the animals.
I wasn't gonna bring it up this week. I was not gonna bring it up
Listen,
this
I
week.
bought it and I love
Listen,
it. They're free.
I thought about it.
They're free.
We discussed it before the show, but I wasn't gonna bring it up. Bring
And then
back
she
the
walked in
circus
with the
carts.
box.
Nope.
Perfect timing.
Well, that's it for another edition of Real Town with John and Tracy. It's 6:38. We went a little late. Ed's here with the Alpha Male Show, so
Eddie!
hang around, tune back on in.
Eddie!
7 p.m. is the place to
Eddie!
be. And until then, we'll catch you next time.
Oh, there's a little handle.
Yes, they've always had a little handle.
I know, but I like it.
It's a convenient carrying apparatus.
She never dealt with those. She ignored them all this time. Now she knows there's a handle.
They're
Till
free.
next week, see you next Wednesday, 5:30-ish.
Ish.
On Real Town.
Peace.
See ya.
See ya.